Hello, this is the second video in the Breaking the Cycle of Generational Trauma video series, and this part two is a really difficult one because it's all about maintaining a stable living environment. This is going to be a longer video than I had planned, but I'm really passionate about this topic of helping people with generational trauma. Why? Because one, I'm a carrier of generational trauma, as I've said before, and two, honestly, people like us are dying out there, homeless, addicted, poor mental health, sometimes committing suicide. And so we need help. And so this is a topic that I'm really passionate about. I work with parents in which they're dealing with addiction in their homes, but I also work with partners who are married to somebody like this as well. And by the time they come to me and I assess the situation, multiple mental health issues, over emotionality and impulsive behavior control. Sometimes the police are called to their house regularly. They're in and out of jail because of behavioral issues. They're acting very angry and threatening in the house. They're not emotionally in control. I see and sense that they are carriers of generational trauma. And so when I work with families that are dealing with this, the first thing I say is you have to be able to change your paradigm of what you're seeing. These are not lazy people. These are not people that are doing this on purpose. These are not people who are mean and bad, terrible people. We are dealing with generational trauma, meaning all of that pushed down, unresolved trauma from generation to generation to generation, because what we do is we traumatize children in our society and we teach them to push it down to keep going. It goes down generation to generation to generation, and then it ends up in a person who's so backed up with family generational trauma, they are not able to function in society. So that's the paradigm I ask, even beg parents to understand this is what you're living with, okay? And it doesn't mean that they have an excuse to keep acting that way. So this message is both for the people who are living with somebody who is a carrier of generational trauma and the person with generational trauma. For what it's worth, I'll be making a YouTube podcast interview video possibly this Sunday to expand on this topic. But I just want to make a shorter video to at least get the message out there. Because honestly, what I see is a lot of carriers of generational trauma who are dealing with these emotionalities and difficult mental health issues. They're on this app. I see them a lot. I recognize them. Stuff. I'm one of them. Okay? So that's why I'm still making this message here. So one, for the person who's carrying the generational trauma and the person who's living with somebody like that, you have to be able to change your paradigm. So that way you can maybe do the research into their mental health to have understanding and compassion for what you're seeing. We're not choosing to be like this, okay? But for the person who's the carrier of generational trauma, you have to take responsibility for yourself. You cannot use this as an excuse. You will talk yourself out of marriages, out of jobs, out of friendships. And so if you don't take the responsibility for this and manage this, you will end up usually unemployed or underemployed, divorced, and reclusive. This is the future for people like that who do not maintain this and manage this properly. Okay, so you have to take responsibility for yourself. And the first thing is, don't blame yourself. The main thing that I see that keeps people like us from getting the help that we need is our low self-esteem and self-hatred that we have for ourselves. We don't even want to know because we think that generational trauma and mental health means we're broken, we're losers, we're bad people. It's not. This is the way God planned human biology. But if you keep on believing that thought, you will never get the help that you need. You'll be too full of self-anger and self-hatred to do that. Okay, so you have to be able to just relax, understand that it's not your fault. You have generational trauma, you're a carrier of it, you have multiple mental health issues, and begin taking responsibility for yourself. You can't use this as an excuse, and you can't keep on going through a household, with your addictive, impulsive, sometimes threatening, volatile behavior. When I work with parents like this, sometimes they tell me we have to call the cops to the house on a regular basis. And so people like us, because of the employment issues, we're like 35, 40, 50 years old sometimes, either living at home still or we're always needing financial help. Okay, so to make things as peaceful and smooth as possible, both sides, please, understand this whole generational trauma paradigm. And the person with generational trauma, begin taking care of yourself. Obviously, work to your maximum optimal functioning in the work environment out there. I mean, if you're able to maintain stable income, livable income, and you don't need any help, great. I'm really talking to the people who can't do that consistently. Okay, so these are some of the things that will help you. One, if you are trying to get a job and work, it's best that you do something that you're passionate about, because we don't really do well when we're trying to do things we don't like. Okay, we get, angry, we get bored, we get distracted really easily, and we quit or get fired on a regular basis when we do things that we don't like to do. It's best for us to do something that we're passionate about, that we love to do. Two, it's best that we are paired with somebody who's more functional than us. I mean, hopefully both sides will understand you're a carrier of generational trauma. Your purpose on God's earth is to be the purge of all this unresolved emotional energy that was passed into you. And that's why you're a bundle of nerds with multiple mental health issues and behavioral problems. And so, basically what I say is this. People like us, I see this a lot. You're trying to live a working life like everybody else, but with a brain that's eligible for disability. That's what I see a lot. We're trying to live like everybody else in the working world out there, trying to take responsibility for ourselves, but with a brain that's eligible for disability. And so you have to, live with somebody who's more functional than you so you can take care of this condition. You actually have to prioritize maintaining your emotional mental health stability. That's your number one job, actually, to be the purge and the carrier of generational trauma. So you do need to not get down on yourself and start taking care of yourself. And then also for the families dealing with this and the person dealing with this, you may need to consider a financial contingency if you hit 35, 40, 45, 50 years old and you realize you're just unable to maintain consistent financial income, possibly being on disability, possibly having your parents create a financial contingency for you. This is what it's like living with generational trauma. God did not make us with the purpose of paying taxes like everyone else. Not that there's anything wrong with our economic-based society, but we are usually the ones that don't fit in well with it. And so we have to make contingencies for this. I care about this topic a lot because I see us, and if we're not getting the help that we need, we're dying out there. We're dying. Addictions, suicide, medical issues, legal issues. And so I'm very passionate about this topic, and I plan to talk about this at length later on maybe one of these podcast interviews on Sunday. Thank you.